It was a humid morning in Leopoldville when the radio crackled with a voice that had electrified a continent. Patrice Emery Lumumba, the passionate leader who had helped end Belgian colonial rule in the Congo just months earlier, spoke of dignity, unity, and independence. That morning would mark not only a turning point in a young nation's life, but the beginning of a sequence of betrayals that would echo across decades. By mid-1960, the Congo was a prize the world could not ignore. On June 30th, 1960, Belgium's long colonial rule formally ended, and Lumumba became the first democratically elected prime minister. Yet within weeks, the new republic splintered. Rich, mineral-heavy Katanga province declared secession under Moise Tshombe, backed by Belgian business interests and soldiers. Cold War paranoia amplified every local fear. Western powers feared Soviet influence in a nation sitting atop copper, cobalt, and other strategic resources. Tensions swelled into crisis. The United Nations sent peacekeepers, but the UN's mandate and means proved inadequate. Domestic rivals, foreign governments, and corporate actors jostled for leverage. Joseph Désiré Mobutu, then an army colonel, staged a coup in September 1960 with implicit Western support and grew into the chief instrument of Cold War realpolitik in the Congo. Lumumba, vilified as a potential ally of Moscow, found himself increasingly isolated. Behind closed doors, the conspiracy took shape. Declassified documents and later parliamentary inquiries would reveal a terrifying truth. Western intelligence agencies and former colonial authorities were not merely alarmed observers. In Washington and Brussels, policymakers debated methods to neutralize Lumumba. The United States saw him as a dangerous radical. Belgian officials wanted to maintain influence over Congolese resources. Katangan secessionists wanted him gone. Covert operations, destabilizing funds, and clandestine meetings became the tools of choice. Arrested in December 1960 after attempting to flee, Lumumba was transferred between detention centers and ultimately flown into the hands of his enemies in Katanga on January 17, 1961. That same night, he was executed. The killing was neither spontaneous nor isolated. Witnesses later recounted how Katangan authorities and European officers were present, and how the murder was followed by efforts to obscure what had happened to his body. The brutality was meant to be definitive, to erase not just a man but the aspiration he embodied. When news of the murder reached the world, condemnation was immediate. For many in Africa and beyond, Lumumba became a martyr of decolonization and a symbol of how the Cold War allowed great powers to crush emerging sovereignty. In the years that followed, further revelations confirmed the complicity of outside actors. Belgian investigations and archival research exposed the role of Belgian officials. Declassified U.S. documents showed that American operatives had plotted to destabilize and even remove Lumumba. Historians would later argue that the assassination was less an isolated crime than the culmination of a coordinated campaign of interference. The consequences were seismic. Mobutu consolidated power with Western backing and transformed the Congo into Zaire, ruling as a kleptocratic dictator for decades. The assassination hollowed out nationalist leadership, intensified regional conflict, and set patterns of foreign exploitation that fueled civil wars and suffering across generations. The minerals Lumumba had sought to harness for national development instead enriched foreign companies and domestic cronies. This is a story of ideals crushed by geopolitics, of a man whose eloquence frightened empires and whose death clarified their priorities. It is also a cautionary tale about how international strategy, corporate interest, and covert action can converge to destroy nascent democracies. The Congo's trauma did not end with Lumumba's body. It became an inheritance. Yet his words, recorded speeches, broadcast pleas, and letters outlived the conspiracy, feeding movements for justice and memory across Africa. Decades later, as archives opened and apologies were proffered, the outlines of the conspiracy became clearer, but clarity could not restore what was lost. The assassination of Patrice Lumumba remains a stark example of how the Cold War's shadow extended into the heart of Africa, and how the quest for control over resources and influence can drown out the fragile voice of self-determination.